Sunday, May 19th, 2024. This is video number 250, and it's a special one. So, Vanya actually has a few questions that he wants to ask me. So, we're going to turn the camera around, we're going to give him the camera, and he's going to start the interview.
Okay, so it's a really beautiful day outside.
Yeah, very nice day. Nice Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, what's so special about this day?
Well, today is May long weekend in Canada, not in Russia. But it was actually 2 days ago was a special day because on May 17th, 2022, I arrived in Khabarovsk.
Okay, so we have a lot of fabulous places around the globe, and I have a question for you. Why did you choose, right this place?
You mean Khabarovsk? Why did I
Yeah,
choose Khabarovsk?
yeah.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I guess I'll have to explain it. It goes back to COVID-19 and South Korea. So, what happened was I was living and working in South Korea, teaching at a university, and my wife Victoria was also teaching at the university. I was teaching English, she was teaching Russian, and in 2019, we decided that we are going to move to Canada. So in December and January of 2019 2020, we sold everything and we were all set to move to Canada. And then COVID 19 happened. And my wife was not able to come to Canada because even though we were married for 13 years, she didn't have Canadian citizenship. So she had to return to Russia and I had to go to Canada. But our two sons, Ivan and Andrei, they had both passports and we figured, well, go to Russia, go see Babushka, and in a month or two, I'll see you guys in Canada. Well, it didn't turn out that way. I was in Canada for 25 months because of the lockdown. Borders were closed. And at the end of 2021, when the borders started opening up and COVID was kind of on its way out, the special operation in Ukraine started and it hit us. Victoria was unable to come to Canada. It was more of a political thing. Uh, Russians were unable to come to Canada. So Victoria called me up and said, why don't you come to Russia? The borders were still open. So I was able to come here on a special family visa, and it was a 1 year visa. So I came here figuring, okay, I'm gonna be with my family. And instead of waiting until my family from Russia can come to Canada. So here I am, 2 years later, and I changed my visa. Now I have a 3 year multi-entry visa, and I got a job. Oh, and Khabarovsk is actually my wife's hometown, so that's why we're in the Russian Far East.
All right, so you're living in Russia, and I have a little question for you. Did you need to learn Russian or something, or how hard it was it?
No, I actually didn't learn Russian. I'm a Russian Canadian. My great great grandparents immigrated to Canada in 1899, so 125 years ago. I am a Doukhobor. It's a religious sect, I guess you can call it, that moved from Russia to Canada. And I live in a small community, my hometown in Western Canada. So I grew up with speaking the Russian language, but my language is a mixture of four languages basically. Predominantly Russian, but there is some Ukrainian in there. There's a little bit of Georgian in there, and some English words have been made into Russian. So, give you an example. For example, um, take a truck. So in English, it's called a truck. But when we came to Canada, my forefathers, and they saw the first trucks, they didn't know what it was called. The English neighbors called it a truck. So what did we call it? Not gruzovik, we called it a truck. Same with a car. Uh, Cars in Canada, everybody referred to them as a car. What did we call them? Kara. So we never called them machine. And some of the Georgian words that we have incorporated into our Doukhobor Russian language, if you want to call it, are certain words like lobia. We don't call it fasol. And we retain some of the Ukrainian words like shvitka. We don't say bystra, we say shvitka. So it's a dialect that probably 30, 40,000 people still can speak it in Canada. So that's why coming here to Russia, I already had a base, and as long as I don't open my mouth, everybody thinks that I'm Russian. But when I go to the supermarket and I start speaking, and the people usually look at me and they're like, "Where did you come from?" Well, that's because my language is in a time warp. It's almost like 100-year-old Russian mixed in with a few other languages.
All right, so you said that you've lived here for 2 years, right?
That's correct.
So, how's Russian? Do you like living here?
Yeah, it's fine. It's peaceful. I feel safe. Um, I have everything that is here. There is no shortage of food in the supermarkets, so I can get whatever I want. Um, I made a lot of friends here. I have a job. I teach English, and we have this dacha. So I come out here and I feel like I'm back home. So yeah, I have absolutely no problem living here in Russia.
All right, so you've stayed here for 2 years now. So, how many more years are you going to stay here?
That's a good question. I guess we got to go back to my Korea experience. I went to South Korea for 1 year and ended up staying there for 18 years. So, to answer the question, how long will I be here in Russia? Well, for the short term, I can say that I am here until we can have a choice of whether to go to Canada or stay in Russia. But I have absolutely no problems with living here. If I could live here the way I'm living right now for the next 10, 15, 20 years, so be it. We're all connected in the world with internet, so I speak with my friends and family in Canada daily. Um, the internet and everything like that connects us. So whether I'm in Korea, Russia, Canada, it really doesn't matter. As long as I'm with my family, that's what's important.
All right, so not many people like teaching, and that may be the case for you too. What's your position here?
Teaching is a good job. It's very rewarding. Just watching the growth of my students going from a lower level to a higher level and being able to communicate in English, that's great. And especially out here in the Far East, there aren't many native English speakers. It seems to me that when foreigners move to Russia, they're always in the West. They're always in Moscow, St. Petersburg, but not many come to come to Khabarovsk. And I don't know. I think it's really good that we're able to kind of open the doors to the rest of the world. Being a teacher here in the school that I work at.
All right, so you've lived in Canada for basically your whole life. Do you miss it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to say that I don't miss Canada would be lying. No, of course, I miss Canada. I miss my family and my friends. Uh, yeah, I do talk to them all the time and on internet and Facebook and WhatsApp and so on. But I think that I have roots here now. I have my family here. So, yeah, I'm able to travel to Canada now. Last summer I went for a month, and this year I plan on going for another month this summer to visit my mother and my sisters and my friends. So, yeah, I do miss them, but at the same time, I do make time to see them at least once a year.
So you've been here for 2 years, as you said, and there's a little question running around in my head. Um, so have any of your friends or family visited you here just to check out how you're living here?
No, not yet, but they are interested. Um, but they follow me on my YouTube channel, so they know what's going on. Plus, they're really busy right now, but in due time, they do promise me that they will come out here because they want to check it out for themselves what my surroundings are here in the Russian Far East.
So, many people are wondering, how safe are you here? Because since 2022, or 2 years ago, there has been a war in Russia roaming around.
Well, I'm in the Russian Far East, and if you actually look on a map, I am from Khabarovsk to my hometown. If you go east, or if you go west from Khabarovsk to, let's say, Kiev. Well, if I go east to my hometown, I'm actually 1,000 kilometers closer to my hometown than I am to Ukraine or where the conflict is going on. You got to understand that Russia is a very big country, 11 time zones, basically on two continents. So, if anything, China is about 15 kilometers away from here. Like, we're literally right on the other side of the mountain over there, and you're in China.
On the other side of the river, even.
Yeah, that's right, the Suri River.
So everyone knows that making friends or being social at all is a social need for a human being. Have you made any friends here?
Yeah, I made a lot of friends, and I have one really good friend named Sergey. And Sergey is really busy today. I actually did invite him to come out here today, but he's busy, so he couldn't come out. So that's one of my friends. But literally every week, I'm meeting up with people. There's across the street from our dacha, there's friends and neighbors. There's the old man that lives next door. So, yeah, many friends, but the closest friend that I have here is Sergey Nesterov.
So not many people actually like going to Dutch because it's such a burden to like come here and work. Why do you do it so often?
Well, first of all, going to the dacha to me is therapeutic. Um, I get connected with the land. Uh, the dacha that we have here is not a fruit vegetable farm. Many people in Russia that do have their dachas, they just come, they work, they plant their crops, and that's that. Whereas for us, we come out here. Yeah, we do have a small greenhouse, actually two greenhouses, and a small garden patch. But it's more of a just to come and relax. And I grew up in this type of an environment in Canada. Um, Not living in a dacha, but I lived in the outskirts of my town, so it's nothing new for me to come and grab a shovel and start working. That's why I like coming out here.
So you're bilingual. You have English and a Russo-Ukrainian Georgian abomination of a language in your head. And I have a little question for you. What language do you like use to speak with your families in Russia?
Well, mostly we use the English language, or I do. With my wife, it's mostly in English. With my sons, it's mostly in English. But that's not to say that Russian is not used in our family. My wife speaks Russian to our sons, and since they were born, they would communicate with my wife, with Victoria, in Russian, and with me in English. But sometimes in mid sentence, we throw in either a Russian word or an English word because it's much faster. And as anybody who knows more than one language, you know that in one language, one word means a whole sentence in another language. So when you're speaking, you could just use the one word and it alleviates saying a whole sentence. So yeah, we speak mostly in English, or I do mostly in English. But my wife, sometimes if she speaks to me in Russian, I'll respond in Russian. So yeah, we have definitely a, a bilingual family here in Khabarovsk.
Such beautiful dacha you've built here. But when did you buy this whole place?
Actually, it'll be coming up 2 years. Uh, this spot that I'm sitting on, we bought it 2 years ago. It was middle of July. And initially, we just had this dacha right here, but this little blue house right behind me, that's a separate dacha. But there was an old woman that was living here, and by the end of the summer, got to meet her and we talked. And then one day she approached me at the end of the summer and she's like, Filip, kupi мою dacha, buy my dacha. And I'm like, Babushka, у нас уже есть dacha. So I tried explaining to her that we already had a dacha and we didn't need a second one. And she's like, oh, but it will be good for your family and for your boys. I'm like, okay. So we ended up buying this other dacha. And now I use this dacha to make my wood products. So, for example, right here I have apple boxes, and I made a whole bunch of furniture and garden stuff. So, if you've been following along in my videos, you'll see that in the wintertime, I was coming here, working in my shop, building stuff, and now I'm slowly putting them out around the dacha. So yeah, there it is. Oh, we also have a pond. Um, it's over there. It's about 100 meters away. So before we had to share it with the old woman, but since we bought the second dacha, now we have this whole pond to ourselves. So it's pretty good.
Okay, Philippe or Papa. Thank you for answering my list of questions. I'm pretty sure your followers on your YouTube channel would be really grateful to finally see like who you are, what you're doing in this place.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hope that people will understand why I'm here, and because I'm always asked the questions, whether it's around town or my students at the school or on my YouTube channel. They're like, why did you come to Russia? Why did you choose Khabarovsk? Do you know the Russian language? Do you like the Russian food? And I can't blame them for asking me these questions, because to them it's interesting. But for me, I hear it every week, the same questions over and over and over again. And I hope now people will kind of see the big picture, who I am, why I'm here, and this is just me. So a lot of my videos here are about the dacha or whatever. I don't know. I'm not into walking around supermarkets and stuff like that, which I have done, but I think my YouTube channel is unique. And just like the way it's called, Canadian Living in Russia, it's to show what life is like through the perspective of a Canadian.
Or
So there it
Western
is.
in general.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, thank you for the questions.
You're welcome.
Oh, and one other thing. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any comments, write them down below. Smash that like button. Let's help grow this channel. And I don't know, maybe we might hit 1,000 subscribers. We're not there yet, but who knows? It'll put the word out that living in Russia isn't that bad. Okay, thank you.
Alright, see you later.
So, there it is. Video number 250. I had Vanya interviewing me, and it was good. So, take care. Пока-пока.